Hey folks, MJB here. Glad you've tuned in. I know it's around 7 p.m. my time. We're going to see if anybody else kind of jumps in here along the way. It's live, so who knows who may come across this. Feel free to jump in if you're out there in crypto land. I'm excited to be here. I'm happy to share my thoughts. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. Crypto is risky. I'm happy to answer any questions out there. I know the Pulsechain launch is coming along hopefully soon. Many are going to be interested, confused, curious how this goes. What's the best strategy? What mistakes you can make or shouldn't make, or you can possibly avoid. We'll try to cover some of that in some of my notes here. So, like I said, I'm just going to kind of ramble here for a little bit as maybe a few others may chime in. Looking at my screen here, let's see what we got going on. Certainly like and subscribe on your way in. That certainly helps the channel. I see one of my good buddies out there, Problem Solver, has already jumped in. Looks like my other buddy, Scott Jackson, over in a nice and sunny and a happy place, Australia, just jumped in. I'm sure he's going to have a few things to ask also. We'll see if anybody else jumps along in here. And like I said, if anybody out there sees me going live, maybe they get interested. Maybe they see the tag of Pulsechain or Hex or whatever. Maybe they've got some questions. Who knows? Otherwise, people may be watching the replay of this down the road, and maybe some of this information will help them when they come across this replay, because some of this information is going to be pretty useful out there. So before I start getting a couple of the questions, let me just get a few things out that I think is important for the Pulsechain launch. So anybody watching the replay here, at least we'll get some value right now before we get into some other questions that may or may not interest them. So right when Pulsechain launches, you're going to want to get notified from Richard Hart. You're going to want to follow him on Twitter or his Telegram, Richard Calls, because you want to get the real link, the real information, the real RPC settings. You don't want to go to a fake one and get get fleeced. So that's my first big recommendation. Make sure you get the settings on what site to go to and how to set your MetaMask properly from a trusted source. Obviously, you're going to be going to pulsechain.com or you're going to be going to pulsex.com. But again, you want to make sure you get your wallet set up correctly. The first thing I'm going to do right when I get in is when I start doing transactions, if I'm going to be swapping and stuff, which we're going to be talking about some ratios and a few ideas and whatnot. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set on the Pulsex exchange is I'm going to change the transaction speed to instant. Because I remember on the other testnet, the prior testnet V3B, there was a little thing on the top that you could change the setting to instant, slow, medium, whatever. You might as well set your transactions to instant because it doesn't cost. I mean, the cost is like 1/3 of a penny or less in PLS. The fees are so low. Just change that to instant. Also, I'm going to set my slippage to about anywhere between 4 and 6%, maybe 5%. That way, just to make sure that my trades go through. And that gas limit, I think I showed you in a video sometime back or whatever. You're going to want to change those gas limits to 35 and 7. You go to the advanced. And if you have any questions about that, ask me below and I could kind of toy with it and try to figure it out. But the bottom line is you want to change those gas limits to higher, again, to make sure that they go through, because what's the difference if you're paying a little bit more in gas? The fees are so tiny, that's a non-issue. I'd rather make sure that I'm put first in line or the top of the list, and those validators get my transaction through in priority fast. So those are some of the first things I'm going to do. When I get my airdrops of my PLS, my PLSX, things like that, maybe even my copied hex, I'm going to transfer them to my other wallet, because I've got several, hardware wallets. This is my treasure. I've got several of them set up. So one of the first things I'm going to do in terms of safety or good housekeeping is I'm going to transfer, when I get my airdrops, when they hit, I'm going to then transfer them out to my other wallet address just to be safe, because just in case, because this address has been public, because anybody that sacrificed, those addresses are public. And so just to be safe, I'm just going to transfer everything out just in case that wallet is compromised for whatever reason. Other than that, those are some of the things I just wanted to get out really quick. In terms of ratios at the beginning, when this latest testnet launched, V4, just so you know, that PLSX ratio was 1-to-1. Now, again, that was right at launch. I was one of the first people in. It was also confirmed by some of the people I follow on Twitter that the ratio opened at 1-to-1. So if you're one of the first guys in, when this thing goes, and let's say you're trying to swap your PLSX for some PLS, maybe you're lucky, maybe you get it 1-for-1, or maybe it slowly goes up and you get it at 1.2 to 1, 1.4 to 1, 1.6 to 1, however it fluctuates, maybe you get in pretty quick. But then it's going to rise. And right now, if you look at the test net, maybe it's 3.5 to 1, which I'm not paying, and we could talk about that later. But if you can get it at under 2 to 1, then maybe that is worth your while. I'm still waiting to see if anybody else wants to jump in here. I know Problem Solver did have a question earlier about one of the newer projects that came out, this PLS IOU. Before I explain it, I just need to reiterate that there's always going to be trust in crypto, whether you sacrificed to someone who lives in Europe who you've never met and you're just trusting him to launch something, or you buy a token here, like on PLSIOU, you buy a token and hoping to burn it or swap it for something else down the road. That's going to be the real thing that you're after, which is how this is going to work. The bottom line is a lot of trust involved. And me personally, I've dealt with Jacob of PulsePot through several different projects in the past. I know he's super trustworthy, in my opinion. I know he's a man of his word. I'm certain and I'm at ease that he's going to honor this commitment to swap our PLS IOU for a PLS when the time comes after launch. So I'm at ease. But boy, he took a beat down from a lot of the community, the Pulse community, and even the Hex community for this type of project when they don't even really know his background. So I just wanted to put in a good word on that. Let me see what your question is. When I go to a wallet, it slows down testnet. When I go to wallet, it slows down testnet. Well, yeah, that V4 is the testnet. It might be slow because there might not be as many validators up and running because it's not the real thing. It's just a testnet. So maybe it takes them a little bit longer. But like I said, if you set that your gas to higher, it's going to put you in higher in line to be first to get your transaction done because you're paying more. Again, the price is so tiny to me and you, it's nothing. But to the validators, you're paying more, so they're going to put you in line at a higher spot to get yours done first, if that's what you're asking. Let me just quickly explain the PLS IOU because I just gave that disclaimer that I'm at ease about it, but a lot of people have their suspicions. Hey, there's Crypto Rick too. Let me talk about him in a moment here. With the PLS IOU, you're buying the PLS IOU on Ethereum chain. It's an ERC20, and then after the launch, it's going to copy just like all ERC20s copy. So the PLS IOU is going to copy. It's now going to be a copy in your Pulsechain wallet. And then you will then go to that website, that Pulsechain/IOU.com, and you'll swap your copied, you'll swap your PLS IOU for the PLS. That's basically what's going to happen. And then you will own PLS. The real question, problem solver, is if you're paying 2022X right now, you're paying 0.0022 or whatever the price is right now, then is that worth it, or would you rather wait and take your chances when it launches? I meant when I went to the Pulsechain IOU, yeah, that I don't know why that's running slow. I think that depending on when you did your swap and obtained the PLS IOU, Jacob, I saw some notes in the Telegram chat, that they were then going to do another airdrop for the people that got in after a certain point. So some of the people that did it right away, like me, showed up right away on our Pulsechain wallet, but then they were going to do another airdrop again, and that was either today or it's going to be tomorrow. I forgot when it's going to be, but I did see a note, so that might be why you're not seeing it or why you were having that problem with it maybe being slow. I don't know. Guys, I need to give a quick shout out. Yeah, 0.0023 is what it's at right now, I think, give or take. That's what it's at. And so the question is, do you want to pay 23x, because that's 23 times higher than the average SAC price of 0.0001. Some people got it for a little bit less. Some people got it for a little bit more. So you're paying 23 times higher than what the people that hold PLS got it for. Okay. But if launch goes and it shoots up, a lot higher than that, then you're going to be happy. If launch goes and it stays at 0.001, 0.0015, then you could have got it for cheaper, obviously. So it's really just a hedge. It's a good hedge to throw maybe 5 or 10% of your money of your risk capital or what you plan on using for PLS. And that way you're covered because you've got some of it locked up coming to you for sure. But you also leave yourself some money to go out and just swap for it if the price is lower. So it's kind of just a really good hedge, in my opinion. Crypto Rick, you guys, Crypto Current, you guys out there should follow him. He covers all different topics of crypto. Very bright guy. He's the very first person that I dealt with when I when I started to get my own channel. I've gone from 0 to over 415 or 20, whatever it is now. I was on a live stream with him. It was the first time I appeared on YouTube in a live stream with him. He's known as Cryptocurrent, or you could look at him for at crypto_current. Got about 5,000 subs, so certainly check him out. Any other questions you guys have? Problem? Does that kind of answer your questions? I hope it does. I saw that Laura had a question for me earlier about ratios. Like I said, the initial ratio is going to open for PLS to PLSX. It's going to open at 1 to 1, but it's going to rise quickly as people pop in there and log on and learn about it being launched. It's going to go a lot higher. The real question is, how much do you want to pay? What's a bad ratio? And in my opinion, I'm not paying 3 to 1. I'm not paying 3.5 to 1 for my PLSX. I SAC for PLSX. I don't have any PLS except for the PLS that I'm going to be getting through the PLS IOU. Okay. But that's not a huge amount. You got to look at it this way. If you're swapping 3.5 PLSX for 1 PLS, that means you need PLS to outperform PLSX by 3.5 times. 3.5 times is a big ask. So you could really hurt yourself if that's what you're hoping happens. Again, it has to outperform PLSX by 3.5 times if you're paying 3.5 to 1. And if any of you saw my recent video on Pulsex and why I'm super bullish on it, you'll see whatever it was, 4, 5, 6 reasons why I really like Pulsex and why I'm not getting rid of mine. I'm certainly not getting rid of it for cheap. So anyway, Scott, not sure if you have any questions out there, if you're still with us. Problem, any other questions about PLS IOU or the Pulsechain launch? I gave you guys some of my initial tips. Certainly, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel as we continue to try and grow. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. Well, here's a question right here. Once the bridge is open, how do we bring the EHEX of USD? So once the bridge opens, you'll want to go to that pulse ramp. It's called Pulse Ramp, and he put out a link through the through Twitter of the address of the Pulse Ramp, or you can go to the Pulsechain.com. And when Pulsechain.com is live, right now it's not, on the very top, it'll have that Pulse Ramp as one of the choices, and you'll click that Pulse Ramp, and then when you click it, it'll then give you the directional, and so you'll want to change the directional to answer your question from Ethereum to Pulsechain, right? And then when you do that, it's going to connect your Ethereum wallet to it. So then when it does, now it has access to whatever you have in your Ethereum wallet. In your example, your hex, just your general hex is going to be on there. So then you'll type in whatever 100,000, hex, and then you're sending it to Pulsechain, because that's where you'll change the directional to Pulsechain, and then you'll get to choose which token you're sending it into. Based on what you're asking me, you're saying is you're going to send it into USDC or PLS or whatever. Once the bridge is open, how do we bring the EHEX of USD? Yeah. So you're going to get to choose what you want to send it into. Oh, actually, on the bridge, you're just sending it through. I'm sorry, it's not a swap, it's a send. On the bridge, you're just sending it through. So you're going to pick, when you set it to Ethereum, you'll then pick whatever Ethereum token you're sending, which in your case is EHEX, and then you pick Pulsechain, and then you send it, and you're going to have to pay that Ethereum gas fee. Let's hope it's not super high, and then it'll go through, and then it's going to then appear in your Pulsechain wallet as wrapped hex, and it'll be called EHEX on Pulsechain, right? Because Pulsechain is the native DEX that it's going to. So when it appears when it's in your Ethereum wallet, it's just called hex, right? But when it goes through to the other side, it's going to show up as EHEX on the other side, and the copied hex after the fork is going to show up in your Pulsechain wallet as just hex, even though that's on Pulsechain. Does that make sense? It's confusing because it's kind of backwards of what we've been saying for the past year and a half, 2 years. Not me and you, but in general. Okay, yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So right now we've been talking about PHEX, EHEX, blah blah blah. But after the fork happens, after it launches and everything's done, when you connect your wallet to Pulsechain, and if you held hex on Ethereum, it's just going to show hex in your Pulsechain wallet. But when you bridge it over from Ethereum and then you bridge it over to Pulsechain, it's then going to show up as EHEX in your Pulsechain wallet. So you could definitely have hex and EHEX as holdings in your Pulsechain wallet. But keep in mind the hex is the copied version, now native to Pulsechain on Pulsechain. What do we got here? On the bridge, if money is in USDC, will usually be on bridge to send over to do. No, you could bridge your USDC over. So again, like Scott was asking, it'll say Pulse Ramp, and you'll use that Pulse Ramp bridge once it's live. Nobody knows if it's going to be live in a day or two, a week, a month. We're hoping a couple of days, if not sooner. But and obviously it seems to be working now, from what I understand. But once it's live, after the ratio trading for the first couple days or longer, yeah, you'll click the Pulse Ramp, you'll select Ethereum, you'll pick your USDC, and you'll pick to where it's going to. It's going to Pulsechain, and then you'll send the amount you're sending. Let's say you're sending $100, and then when it goes through, it's going to show up on the other side on Pulsechain as EUSDC, and those are going to be worth $1. They're still worth $1 because they're backed by $1 in the real world. But just to take your question one step further, problem, you are holding USDC on Ethereum, right, in your wallet, waiting for all this to happen. So when the fork happens, you now have copied USDC on Pulsechain, right? The real question is that going to be invalidated right away by Circle? They're the outfit that backs or puts out USDC. Are they going to immediately invalidate it? I think yes, because you can't trade a copied version of something in for $1. It's just worth nothing. It's a copied version, the copied USDC. So if you get copied USDC on the other side, my recommendation is to swap it for PLS or PLSX if there's a pool as soon as you can, because it's going to quickly go down in value, that copied USDC on Pulsechain. Okay, it's one of the first things. If I do hold USDC on Ethereum, it's one of the first things I'm going to swap out of on Pulsechain, because it's going to be invalidated by Circle, and its value is going to slowly go down enough. Slowly, probably go down to maybe 1 or 2 cents. There might be a small value of it, but I'm going to swap it out right away for whatever PLS I can get for it. No, it's going to be invalidated on the Pulsechain side. Your USDC on Ethereum is still worth $1, and then when you bridge it through to Pulsechain, it'll be called EUSDC, I believe, and it'll still be then worth $1, which you'll use to swap with. And let's say you make trades and swaps, and you've built it up to $500 of EUSDC on Pulsechain. Well, you need to get it back to your Coinbase wallet. I mean, your Coinbase account eventually, right? You need to get it back to your KuCoin account or your Kraken account or your Binance US account or wherever to cash out one day. You'll then bridge your EUSDC through that Pulse ramp from Pulsechain back out to Ethereum, where it'll then show up as USDC, which you could then send to your Coinbase account or whatever, how we normally do nowadays. So I need to send it over from Ethereum, and then it has real value. Exactly. That's what everybody's doing. That's exactly what everybody's going to be doing. If that's your choice of value. My buddy Scott may want to send Hex. He might want to send his Ethereum Hex over to then use to swap with, along with his copied Hex that he might be using to swap with, for example. People will be bridging over Ethereum, right? People that hold Ethereum may want to bridge over Ethereum and use that as value. Obviously people are going to be bridging over their Shiba Inu or their Chainlink or their Sand or Meta, or I mean, whatever they have, they could be bridging over. But because obviously it's going to be Pulsex Dex is going to be a full Dex with full swapping abilities. Pretty much, we're hoping it takes over Uniswap, because I'd rather swap if I'm a Shiba Inu guy and I want to swap for Shiba Inu, and people have bridged it over and created pairs with it, right? And they provided liquidity for it. Heck, I'd rather pay a 1/3 of a penny and swap $100 bridged over USDC for some Shiba Inu than pay a $25 Ethereum gas fee on Ethereum. And then if I just want to hold it, if my play is just to hold it, then I can just hold it. But I'm probably not going to be swapping for the copied version of Shiba Inu until I know that it's going to possess value, because the copied versions are called PRC20s, and we just don't know if they're really going to hold much value or not. For all we know, they might be paired with the Ethereum version, and they might be given real super high value. We don't know. Since we're talking about that right now, another important thing to remember is that The liquidity pools that are being copied and they're going to be on the Pulsechain side, a liquidity pool probably only has maybe 5 or 10% of the supply of something. Let's just take we're talking about Shiba Inu. Let's take Shiba Inu for example, and I have no idea whatsoever what the total supply of it is. But let's say that the liquidity pool has 10% supply of it, and that's what's being dragged over by the AMM fixer bot that Richard Hart's going to deploy at the fork. That means that's going to be copied. So what I'm trying to say is that, in simplest terms, is that if you have $100 of Shiba Inu on Ethereum, and then you get your copy. So now, let's just say you have 1,000 Shiba Inu that's worth $100 or whatever. Then you get your copy, and now you have the PRC20 version of it on Pulsechain. You're not going to get $100 worth of PLS if you swap it for PLS. That's what I'm saying. The pool is going to be so thin that you're only going to get 3 to 5% of that value. So in this example, if you had $100 worth of Shiba Inu that copied over, and then you try to immediately, and you're one of the very first guys to swap it for PLS, you might get $2 or $3 because the liquidity pools are so thin, and that's if you beat everybody else to that PLS in that pool. Does that make sense? So that was one of my initial strategies, was that until I found out by watching these test nets that strategy is not going to work because those liquidity pools are not going to be super thick. But USDC will have value right away on that side. Right away, yes, but within 5, 10, 20 minutes, my thought is no. The copied version, again, problem, you're holding USDC in your Ethereum wallet like you do right now, because there's no such thing as Pulsechain, and it's worth $1. But then when the fork happens, let's say you have 100 USDC. Now you have 100 copied USDC, which will be called, it's the copied version of it, okay, on Pulsechain. Well, no, the wrap version is worth $1. When you bring it across, it stays at $1. It's always $1. $1 on Ethereum that you then wrap or send through the Pulse ramp is still worth $1. I'm talking about the copied version. I thought that's what you meant. The copied version might have a little bit of value because let's say you have $100 of USDC and then the fork happens and now you have copied 100 before you bridge anything over, before you've bridged anything. You now have 100 copied USDC. You might be able to swap it for some PLS because there's going to be a pool. There's going to be a liquidity pair for that. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. But I just think the value of the copied USDC is going to go down very quickly. And I suspect that that's going to be one of the biggest mistakes that newbies or people that don't know what they're doing are going to do. They're going to make a mistake, if this makes sense, and they're going to swap whatever token they have, PLS, PLSX, Hex, whatever, something of value. They're going to swap it for the copied version of USDC, which is worth nothing, which would be worth a penny. And so they're going to lose whatever they gave up for it, and they're going to make a horrible trade. I didn't sack, so I need to bring in, yeah, exactly. And that's why what you're asking me is smart. You're going to hold the USDC and Ethereum, and it's just sitting there like it probably is right now, and you're just waiting for this thing to launch. The one problem is that you can't bring it over until the bridge opens, which is called that pulse ramp. Until that opens, you can't bring it over. So you might have your hands tied. Since you're telling me you didn't sack, you might have your hands tied for 1, 2, 3 days, a week. Who knows when the bridge is going to open? We've heard 1 to 2 days. So I'm not saying you're missing anything, because sometimes the best strategy is to do nothing and not ratio trade at all. So that might be a good thing, actually. But if you want to have some value on the other side to at least play with and swap with, then you might want to hold Hex. Not financial advice, but you might want to at least hold some Hex, so then you can get the copied version. So even while the bridge hasn't opened yet, and while you're locked out, you'll at least still have some copied Hex, maybe to trade for some PLS or some PLSX in the meantime, if those ratios are not outrageous. Trying buying extra good. Yeah, and I think a lot of us have. I have too. I know some of the others out there have too. And holding Hex is not a bad idea. I just wish that the price right now is a little bit higher. That's a whole other topic. I know that Hex has been, people are just frustrated. People are frustrated that Pulsechain hasn't launched. So they're upset. They're upset with holding their Hex to use. People are upset that it just keeps on being delayed. We've been waiting 2 years plus now for this thing to go. So it's frustrating. Not to mention big competition, from like Polygon or Arbitrum or Zen and their chain. I mean, we're talking big competition out there that's now arrived. and gaining traction. And that's not good if you're a hex guy or a Pulsechain like me. If I don't have any sacrificed pulse, how can I swap the copies before the bridge? There's going to be a faucet, but first there's going to be a faucet on Pulsechain. There's actually one right now, and I think you might have saw it in one of my videos, Scott. You might have saw it. I forgot which video it was, but it was in one of the videos where I showed you where that faucet was. And I know you watch a lot of my videos. So there's bottom line is you're going to go to right when it launches, you'll go to pulsechain.com and go to that faucet, and it just connects to your wallet. You don't get charged a gas fee, and it just sends you maybe 1 to 10 pulse. Also, to answer your question, if you want to be fast and you don't want to be farting around with a faucet that may or may not be there, you need to hold some Ethereum in your wallet, because Ethereum is the one thing, because it's the native coin on Ethereum, and so it's going to swap at the fork. It's going to copy into PLS, the native coin on Pulsechain. So I would hold maybe 0.001 or higher, because the average gas price on Pulsechain for PLS is going to be around. I think I was doing swaps. It was 0.0003 or so, or something like that. So if you hold at least 0.001 Ethereum, which I'm sure you do because you already do swaps on Ethereum anyway with your Hex and Zen and some other stuff, you already have Ethereum anyway. So just make sure you hold at least 0.001 Ethereum on Ethereum. So when the fork happens, you'll then have 0.001 PLS to then use for gas, to then swap and ratio trade with. Hopefully that makes sense. I like Hex down. I'm hoping eHex drops. I know, and maybe it will drop. The question is if he announces, hey, we're launching on block number 11155. I'm making that up. Then people can plot out, oh, well, that's going to be Thursday at 2:00. Or if he says we're launching on block such and such, people will be able to plot out when that may occur. That's one thing that might happen. And then the price of Hex will probably go up because people will really start packing their bags. Or he might just say, it's coming this weekend. Okay. The reason why I'm in the camp of him saying, giving some kind of warning, is because all the people that have provided liquidity, Hex liquidity on Uniswap, they're going to get zapped really bad if they don't get some kind of warning to pull that Hex liquidity out first. Okay, before the snapshot, before the fork. So he's got to give them some kind of warning, because that'd be really brutal to all of his best followers, the people with the most support that have added liquidity on his behalf, not only on his behalf, but that have added liquidity, and then he doesn't give them a warning to give them a chance to pull it off before everything copies over. Because if they have it in a liquidity pool, I'm pretty sure they don't get the copy. That's what I'm getting at. So he's got to give them some kind of chance, even if it's an hour or 5 hours or a half a day. He's got to give them some kind of chance to pull that liquidity, have it sitting in their MetaMask so that they can get the copy too. Because why should they get screwed, especially when they're the ones that have been providing liquidity for you and I to trade in and out of? Does that make sense? So who knows what kind of warning we're going to get, but I'm in the belief that we're going to get some kind of warning so that people can do just that. Ethereum is only one for, exactly. Yeah. Ethereum is 1 for 1 for PLS. And it's the only thing that's a bad ratio, because you're going to have one Ethereum worth $2,000 to get one PLS worth 0.0001 of a penny. So that's why it's not a good plan to hold Ethereum as a strategy, because the copy is not worth anything. But that, to make sure you have some PLS in your wallet, at least hold 0.001 Ethereum, which is however much, $50 worth or whatever that comes out to. So at least you've got some PLS gas to do that ratio trading with if you do hold, copied Hex. That bit of advice would be critical for anyone who hasn't. Exactly. I mean, people don't know that. Hopefully they're watching and they'll see this at some time to know that's a good strategy right there if you can't get to the faucet or don't know about it or what have you. That would be a quick pump. Sure. It could be a very quick pump. But I'm fearful that it might not happen, because if he just stealth launches and boom, it's launched, well, then he just screwed all the people that had liquidity locked up, because now they didn't get their copy, so they got zapped. We didn't get to enjoy a potential Hex, Icosa, Hedron, Maxi, Poly, any one of those Hex type things pumping. That would suck. So who knows? I think he's going to give some kind of warning not financial advice. I can't guarantee it, but doesn't that make sense? I mean, I think you guys would agree that that makes sense. That we'll get some kind of warning so that people can pull their liquidity so they can get the copy too, instead of getting screwed and not getting their copy also and being punished for providing hex liquidity. What do we got here? Can you please explain the weight token? The way he's doing it, it's through that guy Coast, and he's been tweeting a lot, and I do follow him. It's basically a game where the longer you wait, the more you get, because it increases a certain amount every day. But you would have had to have sacrificed for a certain number of different Pulsechain projects to be qualified. And I'm going off the top of my head, but those projects would have been PLS, maybe Power City, maybe Fiat, maybe Liquid Loans, maybe PLSX. It might have been one other one, maybe that wallet, that internet money wallet. I don't remember what the 5 or 6 were, but if you sacrifice for any one of those or several, then you qualify for the weight token. So I sacrificed for like Liquid Loans, and maybe it was Power City and PLSX. So I forgot how many weight tokens I got. It might have been 3,000 when I claimed maybe a month ago. That was when I claimed. I could have waited longer and gotten more. So the longer you wait, the more weight tokens you get to claim. But if the launch happens, then you don't get any because you missed your claim. It's a game of chicken. So I just claim mine, and those 3,000 might be worth 50, 60 bucks right now in my wallet. But there's more to it because he's the same guy, the weight, since you're asking about this, he's the same guy that's building the fiat on-ramp, meaning to and from your bank account. Not to and from MetaMask to Coinbase to your Wells Fargo account, right? No, he's going to build a fiat on-ramp directly from your bank account or your debit card right into Pulsechain. So how valuable is that? And if you hold weight, to my understanding, that you'll get a discount on the fees. So if the fee is, what I'm making this up, but if the fee is 0.2% or whatever the fee is, and you hold the weight token in your wallet, then you get a discount on those to and from fiat on-ramp buys and tos and froms to and from your bank account. So that's the value. One other thing, since you asked me about it, I hold it now. Yeah, okay. I'm glad you make sense. I hold the Watt token now, and I have maybe 3,000, whatever the number is, 50, 60 bucks worth. There's going to be a big payday, which happened with Hex when Hex was launched. And to make a long story short, whoever doesn't claim their weight, if you're qualified, like if you did sacrifice for one of those 5 or 6 things, whoever doesn't claim their weight, all of that weight gets divvied up among all of the people that did claim it. It's called like a big payday. So not only do I have that 3,000 that I have now, whatever that number is, 60 bucks worth or whatever, but since I've already claimed and I'm not going to get shut out. So then what we'll do is after launch, we'll then go to this website, and I forgot the name of it. I have it written down in my notebook. I'll then go to that website, and first I'm going to get an additional amount of weight, okay, from that big payday. So my number, let's say half the people don't claim, right? I don't even know what the numbers are, but let's say half the people don't claim. That means I might double my bag from 3,000 to 6,000. Who knows what they're going to be worth? But I'm just saying. And then I'll probably hold those, because if I end up using that fiat on ramp, which sounds super juicy to me, then I'll get that discount. Hopefully, I mean, if I have that many weight, 6,000 plus or whatever, you'd think I'd get that discount on my transactions. So I'm glad that makes sense. I'm not sure if you sacrifice for any of the things we spoke about, but that's who qualifies for it. What else is on your guys' mind? Ask me anything here. Pulsechain launch strategies. Let me look at my notes here really quick. We spoke about PLS IOU. Have you guys looked at that Portal X swap at all? It's really, really valuable. So that you could, you want to be able to revoke approvals. That's really important. So go check out the Portal X, check out my prior video. But it's super important, you guys, that you go to the Portal X and you go to revoke approvals, because you don't want an open approval, especially if it's a token that you still hold, because there might be a bad actor out there. Another good thing to do is in MetaMask. I think if you click those 3 little dots, or you click that circle on the top right, there's a thing that says connected sites. If you click that connected sites button, it shows you all the sites that you're connected to. So for me, I might be connected at any moment. I might be connected to the Portal X swap. I might be connected to the Pulsechain testnet v4. I might be connected to Drip, whatever ones I'm connected to. But let's say there's one that I don't want to be connected to anymore because I'm no longer using it. Maybe I was connected to Aviate, to their site, and I'm no longer using it, or to Seifu, or maybe even some swapper, some exchange that I'm not using anymore. Disconnect that connected site, because you don't want to be connected to it, because if there's ever an exploit on that site, you don't want your wallet still open and connected to it. So that's a good housekeeping thing to do too. All right, let's look at the chat here. When is the on-ramp coming? Well, that's a good question. Nobody knows. We've heard in conversations way back when from RH, especially when I used to do a bunch of streams, which he no longer does, that the on-ramp, in other words, ratio trading would be for the first 2 days, and then then the pulse ramp would open, and hopefully within a couple days. The fiat on-ramp, well, it can't open until Pulsechain launches, right? So we know it can't come any sooner. Well, I've heard talk that it might open on Ethereum first. I think he's trying to launch it on Ethereum first. Okay, so to answer your question, I don't know when, but I know he's getting it very, very close to being ready. And when it is ready, we'll know. And hopefully it'll be ready within a few days after ratio trading ends and the bridge opens. But a fiat on ramp, I know of several that are in the works. I've heard of several. I know that I know a lot of you might not follow Drip and that ecosystem, but the Animal Farm and Drip, they're working on a fiat on ramp to and from your debit card or bank account. This guy Coast, through Wait, is working on a fiat on ramp. So I can't answer your question when, but hopefully sooner rather than later. And I'll definitely do a video on that too to show you guys how to use it, especially if it's to my liking. There's Crypto Rick. There's my boy right there. What do you think of PHEX ratio trades? Great question, my man. I got a whole sheet on trades and what I expect, but I was basing all mine on a hex price of 20 cents, 15 cents, because it starts at what's the price of hex, right? Well, with the price of hex at only 6 cents right now, or whatever it's at, we don't know. To not beat this too deep, I based all mine based on a 10x on PLS, so a price of 0.001 is what I'd be willing to pay, or let's just say a 0.001 price. And if let's say hex is at 7 cents, right? So what you do is you take 0.07 divided by 0.001, and that's going to get me, what does that say, 70? Looks like 70 hex. That's nothing, in my opinion. I mean, and if you're one who believes in parity, that if hex is at 7 cents, that means your P hex is worth 3.5 cents. That means you'd be getting 35 if the price of hex is 7 cents, if you believe in parity. If you don't believe in parity and you think the P hex price version is better, and let's say you go full price, 0.07, divided by 0.001, what's a good price? 5? That means you're getting 46. You'd be getting 46 in my world. If you're willing to pay a 15x on PLS at a price of 0.0015, does that make sense? Tough question. For PLSX, I would multiply that by about 2.5 or 3. So if you can get 150 PLSX for one P hex, that's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. But I've crunched the numbers more for PLS because I already sacked for PLSX. So that's why I've crunched the numbers more for PLS. If the price of PLS goes up, let's say it goes up to 20 cents before launch. That might be a big ask. Maybe it does. So if you believe that, let's say you believe in parity, right? So you think that your copied version is worth half of that. So that would be 0.1 divided by 0.00. What's a fair price that you'd be willing to pay, or what would you accept? How about 12x? 0.0012. That means you'd be getting 83 to 1 with that example right there. If you believe in not parity and you think the price of the copy version of hex is more valuable, because I can't tell you what's more valuable, which one's more valuable or not, because I don't know, right? There might be parity, there might not be parity. But let's say it's worth 20 cents, right before launch, or give or take around launch. So let's say you value your copy a little bit higher. Let's say 0.14 divided by 0.001. What price would it be at, or what price would we only pay? How about 0.0013? That's going to be getting 107. That's not a lot. It's not a lot, but I'm hoping that kind of answers what you're getting at. I'm not sure if you have different thoughts or if I'm way off on this with my evaluation of paying 13, 14x. Because if the price is way up by the time you're able to do all this and it's already out of hand, you might be only be getting 30, 35 PLS for a P hex, for a copied hex. I won't even make that trade. I'd rather just hold my hex. Heard of any ERC20s that will gain adoption on Pulsechain outside of the Richard Hart system? Shiba Inu could be won by. I'll tell you one thing. That's a great question, Scott. What I've heard is don't hold Chainlink. I've heard that Chainlink is not coming over. So I tell you one that I wouldn't hold is Chainlink. Shiba Inu might. I don't even hold any Shiba Inu anymore. So I don't really follow their Shiba Inu army. I'm not big on it. I don't know if they're going to come over or not. Wouldn't they like to pay a half a penny or a third of a penny or a tenth of a penny for transaction fees that they do while they hold instead of $20 on Ethereum? So maybe they will. What I've heard is you might want to hold some of the metaverse tokens because they, or NFT tokens that pertain to that, because they are the very, very more likely communities that'll take advantage of Pixel Park on Power City or Mintra or the different NFT platforms, because they're going to want to pay a fourth of a penny for their transactions while they trade and swap and do all their NFT things. Those are the ones that you might want to look at. Not financial advice, but those are the ones that the copies, I think, have a better chance of gaining traction, because they're the people like Sand or Meta and some of those ones. I can name a whole bunch. They're the ones that you might want to research and look into and hold, because those communities could come over sooner rather than later. Hopefully that answers it. Yeah, I like the Portal X 2 problem. That Portal X thing is pretty sweet. You guys watch my video on it. I kind of just do a quick hitter video on it, show you how to use it, take advantage of the limit orders. You definitely want to know how to do limit orders, token approval, token revokes, things like that. Coast wants too much info. Yeah, you might be right. The question is, how much do we have to dox ourselves for that fiat on-ramp that we spoke about that you're referring to? I don't know what the doxing is going to be, if it's limited to just an email, or is it going to be something bigger than an email? I don't know. You're right, though. We'll find out. And same with the one that Drip Animal Farm is doing. They're saying that if it's $2,000 or less, you don't get doxed at all, is what I'm hearing. Now, I'm not sure when that's going to come out, because everything Drip Animal Farm takes a year and a half longer than you think, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, we'll find out together. Scott, Richard Silence is out of, yeah, exactly. No doubt he is going to come out swinging. He'll come out swinging, and you guys have already heard me say. Let me say this: he's always going to look out for who's in his best interest. It's the Hex community. It's the Pulsechans, right? Those are his followers. Aren't those the people that he's going to be most protective of? And so, if everybody dumps their e-hex after the fork, I think there's a really good chance that whoever holds 90% of the hex supply, the OA, hint, hint, Richard Hart, is going to set the biggest and the first P hex to E hex liquidity pair on the Pulsex DEX on Pulsechain. And the reason why is because now you just got screwed, because you just dumped all your E hex on the other side after a fork on Ethereum, and then you find out a day or two later that the guy who holds 90% of it just set the biggest pair of E hex to copied hex on Pulsechain, and they're now set at parity, and they're both 8 cents each or whatever. You're going to feel like you're going to have egg on your face that you just dumped it at 5 cents or 4 cents or whatever you dumped it at. Because if he sets that pair and he sets it at 10 cents each or whatever, who knows? Then you would think he's going to want to punish the people that dumped and protect the people that held, right? Just my opinion. His silence is scary, though, and he's going to come out swinging for sure, my man. Yeah, Rick, it does, and who knows how it's going to play out, you know what I mean? I'm glad it makes sense to you. I know you answered this before, but what is the easiest way to identify the copy tokens versus the ones? My understanding, the copy tokens won't have any kind of symbol in front of them. So when you open up your Pulsechain wallet, right, on after launch, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add those RPC settings to your Pulsechain wallet, because right now you have testnet v4, right, as your settings. I know you've played with it. Well, when Pulsechain launches, you're going to set the RPC settings for the real thing, and then you'll open up your Pulsechain wallet, and then it's going to show. It's just going to show what you hold, but there's not going to be any kind of symbol in front of them, because those are now on the native chain. It's just going to show Hex. It's just going to show Shiba Inu. It's just going to show Chainlink. It's just going to show NuCypher. It's just going to show UFO. It's just going to show Sandbox. It's going to show all those copied ERC20s It's going to say it like that. It's the ones that you bridge over. They're the ones that are going to have the little tiny E in front of them. So if you bridge over some of your sand from Ethereum, it's then going to show that it's eSand from Ethereum. I hope that makes sense. If not, ask me again. Okay, I'm trying to be clear. How long before Pulse is on Portal? That's I follow the Power City guys super close, just so you guys know. I follow them very close. I chat with them all the time, especially with Jesse and LV. They can't do it until the bridge opens. So their hands are tied until the bridge opens. But they want to connect it and add Pulsechain to their repertoire of chains as soon as possible. That's all I can tell you. And if you guys saw my PortalX swap video, you saw all those chains that they already support. They support 40 plus chains: Avalanche, Polygon, Solana, Ethereum, Arbitrum, all of them. All of them. They're going to add Pulsechain to it as soon as they can. That's what I heard. But they can't do it till the bridge opens, right? There's Rick. So what are you going to do with your EHEX? Bridge or just hold? Or stake on EHEX? Yeah. How's this for a theory, Rick? And tell me if I'm out there. Everybody thinks that the copied version of Hex is going to be better, right? Because they built Pulsechain for it. Allegedly, Richard Hart built Pulsechain so that because people don't want to be paying $20, $30, $50 gas fees on Ethereum. But what if everybody just uses, or the majority uses, the copied version of Hex and they make their stakes? Well, now they don't need to make longer stakes because the gas fees are so small that you can just do 1 week stakes and earn monster yield, or do a 1 month stake and earn yield. Well, what if everybody starts doing this because the cost to stake is a penny or a half a penny? What if the supply of the copied Hex, the Hex on Pulsechain, the P Hex, it's not P, it's going to be called Hex, but what if that starts to really escalate? Because you got to remember, we're talking about two different T-share rates, right? One on Ethereum and one on Pulsechain. Yes, the gas fees is a whole separate issue. I don't want to be paying no $50 to end a stake, just like you don't. But at the same time, what if everybody is just doing 30-day stakes, making huge yield, and then everybody all of a sudden just builds their copied Hex stacks bags super quick over a 6-month period or a year? Then maybe there's too much of it, right? Because then people then sell their yield. So I'm just throwing it out there that maybe we really are looking more at parity. Hard to say. Will I bridge over mine? Probably not. I'm not going to bridge it over. I'm going to just keep my Ethereum Hex stakes for longer, and then I'll have my Hex stakes on Pulsechain, my copied Hex stakes on Pulsechain for shorter. But if everybody's doing that and the supply starts to really ratchet up because everybody's earning yield of that version of it, then it might not be as valuable as people are thinking. And I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I'm right. I might be way off on this one. That's just my theory. You guys tell me if you think I'm way off on this one or not. Maybe I am. Just a theory. Or if you're going to bridge over your EHEX, then why not just pair it to PHEX in the liquidity pool and earn the incentive token and earn yield on that, and hope that you don't get zapped too badly one way or the other in terms of impermanent loss. And you can make a nice little yield on that too if you're bridging it over for that, because you can't bridge it over and then stake Ethereum Hex on Pulsechain. You can't do that. Hopefully that makes sense. If I'm not answering what you've asked, let me know. All right, I appreciate it. Do you think it's going to take all the project launch for people to start holding the proper versions or other tokens on Pulsechain? We can only get those tokens until they airdrop them to us. I sacrificed big for liquid loans, but I can't get the loan token until they send it to me. So until they launch, we won't have them. Power City, I can't get my my Watt and my Earn tokens airdrop to me until they launch. All these other projects, freepulse.io, PulsePot. We can't get our PulsePot until this launches. So it's hard to say when each one of these projects is going to launch, but I can tell you this, they've been waiting for almost 2 years to have their opportunity to launch. And so they don't want to wait any longer than they have to. When you say the proper versions, I'm not sure what you mean, but they can't airdrop them to us until they launch. Hopefully, I'm not sure if I'm answering what you're asking. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I'm glad, Rick, that you think I sort of hit the point, or maybe I made sense, or maybe I didn't make sense, but maybe I at least stimulated you a little bit to make you think that what if I am right? What if my theory might work out right? What if Pulsechain takes pressure off of Ethereum? What if Arbitrum takes all this pressure off of Ethereum? What if Polygon is taking all this pressure off of Ethereum, especially Pulsechain, and the Ethereum gas prices go down? Well, then now I could do my hex stakes on Ethereum maybe for $5 or $10 or $3 or $2 like we used to last year during the bull market, right? Maybe that's what happens. Did I just stimulate you right there? Does that make sense? Maybe that's what happens. And so therefore maybe our hex on on Ethereum really is the one to hold. I'm just playing games with you guys, try to make you guys think so you don't make a horrible mistake potentially. If there's 6 of us in here, only 4 likes. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm not shaving till Pulsechain launches, just like hockey players in the playoffs. They don't shave till their playoff run ends. I used to play hockey for 25 years. I'm here in Colorado. I'm down here in Southern California. I'm glad you're in Colorado. That's pretty cool. I used to go there for work. Our training center was there when I did work before I retired. Yeah, I'm here in SoCal. About 30, 35 miles east of Disneyland, if that kind of gives you a, give you an idea. Hey, Scott, thoughts on the UP token that you guys have used? I don't know anything about that UP token. I haven't looked into it. I appreciate you asking, but I'm not going to pretend like I know it. I don't know anything about it. I'm so spread. I've got so many sacrifices out on all these things that I mentioned and a whole bunch I could show you that until those sacrifices are airdropped and this thing launches, I'm not getting into much more. I've got other friends some who I see in here that ask me about Pulse Bitcoin, or they ask me about Zen, or they ask me about other things. I can only spread out so far. And until I get some of these liquid loans airdrops and Power Sitting and Mintra and FreePulse.io and PulsePot, and I can go on. My money's tied up in those for now, my man. Crypto Rick, for me, staking on eHex on regular system gets more. Yeah. See, exactly. You're right, because if you understand the T share on the Ethereum side is probably going to be better than the T share on the Pulsechain side, and we've already beat that up. But you're exactly right, and I agree with that. And then me adding on my idea that maybe the gas fees do go back down, even if we have a bull run, because Pulsechain takes pressure off of Ethereum, along with some of these other chains. Maybe those gas prices on Ethereum do go down. So yeah, I agree with you. I think we agree with each other. Versions that aren't airdrop versions. Which give me some examples. I'm not sure what you mean, Scott. I'm sorry. Yeah, ETH gas may drop. ETH hex maybe. I know. I mean, who knows, right? But I'm glad you agree with me on my theory. It's just a theory. I'm just giving you guys. I'm trying to get you guys to think. All right. That's all we could do is try to swap ideas with each other, so that none of us get ruined too bad. All right. I actually bought the UP token on MetaMask, and it's now showing a negative balance. That sounds like a bad beat to me. I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I can't help you on that one. I'm out of grace. Okay, yeah, problem. Thanks so much for dropping in, man. I appreciate you supporting me. I know you're one of my more valued subscribers, so thanks so much for supporting me, and I'll see you soon enough, all right? And Crypto Rick, I appreciate you jumping in. Anybody else that doesn't follow Crypto Current, he's at Crypto hyphen Current, also known as Crypto Current on YouTube. So you guys should give him a looky too, because he certainly covers a lot of different things with a bunch of different angles. He's got a lot of friends, he's got a lot of enemies, but he's got some strong opinions too that are worthwhile. Crypto, there he is. So how do we acquire PLS or Pulsex if p-hex ratio are crappy? I'm not sure if you saw my video on the PLS IOU, and I'm just going to suggest it that's one hedge. It's put out by a developer who I highly trust, because he's the guy who did PulsePot and has proven himself as super reputable and trustworthy. So you could look into the PLS IOU, watch my video for how to use it, and you could buy a PLS IOU that you'll then swap for PLS after launch, but you're paying 20x plus for it. So it's definitely a hedge. Wait for the dip. The real answer to your question is you got to wait for the dip, right? Because as you know, historically, there's going to be a dip. Because, yeah, okay, thank you, noted. So, because what are the big players doing? What are these Rackham Rochelle's who have these Saudis who have a shit ton of money invested in PLS that they sacked for 2 years ago? How pissed off are they that this thing hasn't launched yet, right? So they might hit 12, 13x out of the gate, and they might just dump. They've already shown and proven that they're pissed off. Many of you that maybe are more newer to all this, you folks might not remember the whole pissing match that happened a year and a half ago with Rackham Rochelle and all of his people about how pissed off they were that PLS wasn't launching in May last year, and now their money's tied up. Dude, your money's way tied up. It's been tied up for over 2 years now. So Rick, what if they dump? What if there's an initial rush with whatever money that comes in, whatever money is on the sidelines right now that's waiting to come in, it comes in, there's that initial bump, and it goes to 20x, it goes to 0.002, right? 0.0025, whatever, 25x, whatever. You mean to tell me those guys aren't going to take a 20x profit on money that's been sitting around for 2 years? Excuse me, and we know it's a huge amount of money because they were upset about it. They wouldn't be upset about it if it wasn't a huge amount of money. Buy the dip, right? You have that dry powder waiting. You've been talking about bridging some stuff over. Have that dry powder waiting, and then you DCA, right? Maybe it drops back down to 0.0018. Maybe it drops back down to 0.0013. That's 13x from stock price, whatever. I can't predict the future. You know what I'm talking about. You know DCA better than anybody. That's what I would say. Wait for that first dip after the big dump happens from all these guys that are stuck waiting to get their money back that's been tied up for 2 years. My money, I didn't sack on PLS. I only sacked for PLSX, but that money's been tied up for whatever, a year and a half now. Scott, my man, my favorite Australian besides Crypto Rick. Scott, you need to follow Cryptocurrent. I'm not sure if he touches on some of the stuff that you follow, but you should look him up. You guys are both from Australia, but Scott's from the West Coast, I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure where Rick, when we did that stream, it was however many hours different, so I'm not sure where you're at. I'm not trying to dox you or whatever, but you've admitted that you're in Australia, so I'm not trying to dox you, but you guys might be good buddies. See each other at the beach surfing together. No doubt we will all look back and realize they could have been a better, I know. There's so many different plays. Some are going to be good and some are going to be bad. East Coast, that's what I thought. 'Cause I remember when we did that live stream, you were so many hours different than me. Yeah, Scott, you're in Sydney. Yeah, okay. You were so many hours different than me. You're right, though. There could be some horrible play. Don't swap 3.5 PLSX for 1 PLS. I mean, if PLS does the 25x, right, 0.0025 divided by 3, that puts PLS at only 0.0008, and that number should be the number that it opens at launch. Don't give up 3.5 or 4 PLSX for 1 PLS. You're just going to be getting absolutely fleeced, and I don't want to see you guys get fleeced out there. You're better off holding your PLSX. Well, for all the reasons I noted in the video I did, watch that video, and I summarized it pretty well, I think. But bottom line is, you want to hold your Pulsex, okay? It's not worth it. If you can get it, again, it's going to open at 1-to-1, but it's not going to stay there for very long. It's going to go up very quickly, but I wouldn't pay more than 2.5, okay? Not financial advice, it's just how I see it. East Coast is for Scott, yeah, okay. What are the questions you guys have? Have I hit on everything? We've been powering along here for almost an hour. I appreciate the 7 of you that are in here. Certainly like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be covering a bunch of Pulsechain projects that come out as they come out. I just really can't hit on them anymore until they launch, because I want to be able to show you guys the different features, you know, when they launch. That's what I'm waiting for. You'll see what I have in there. I'm not shy to show you guys. I've shown you guys in the past, and then you guys can learn how to play with it. But another thing with the Pulsex I'll bring up, I appreciate it, Scott, is Power City is going to let you use your Pulsex to take out loans. And some people don't know that. So just keep that in mind. It's another one of the reasons that the power of Pulsex that I outline in that Pulsex video that I do. Don't get rid of your Pulsex. That buy and burn is I almost said a bad word. The buy and burn is a beast because of all the fees that they generate from volume. 21% of those fees is then used to buy Pulsex and then burn it right there. And if you watch that video that I did, those numbers can really magnify. I'm not going to beat that up. All right. How soon after launch will we be able to single side stake? That's a good idea. I mean, that's a good question, Scott. Let me explain something. We can't at launch because the projects that want to be considered, that want to sponsor a pool, have to first be approved. How do they get approved? They get approved by us, the PLSX holders. We're going to vote on it. So let's say that you've got the Scott McLaurin token and it does whatever it does and you're excited and you want to get it out to the world and it's part of the Pulsechain ecosystem. Well, what do? You propose you want to have it available for people that stake PLSX to earn, right? So you submit a proposal, and there'll be a feature. It's not yet on the testnet, but there's going to be a feature where you submit your proposal, and then once it's been approved to be voted on, and I'm not sure how they approve it, I don't remember the details. The bottom line is it's going to be we're going to vote on it. The Pulsex holders are going to vote on it, and if we want to approve the Scott McLaurin token to be in a pool, then you will then allot, let's say 1% of your supply. Let's see, there's 10 million tokens. You want to supply 100,000 or a million or however many you want to supply to that pool for however long. Let's say you want to make it a 3-week pool or a 1-month pool with that supply that you want to allot. To answer your question, we can't vote on anything until Pulsechain launches, and then we go through the process of voting on projects that want to sponsor pools. So that might take a week or two, right, for us to approve these projects. Then the projects will then sponsor a pool, and then you'll be able to choose from all the different pools available to where you could stake, single-sided stake, no risk. You can't lose your principal, the PLSX, to stake in those pools. There's no time lock. You'll just stake them. So I'll be staking in the Scott McLaurin pool, let's say 25% of my PLSX to earn the Scott McLaurin token, which I can then dump, hold, or use on the Scott McLaurin site, because you want me to go to your site and check it out. That's how this is going to work. But to answer your question, it's not going to be right off the bat because we can't approve them until it launches, and it's going to probably take a little bit of a process. It might take several weeks for these projects to get approved. And then in a perfect world, I'm hoping, another reason why I like PLSX so much is I'm going to be able to choose from 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 pools. Maybe I look and I'm like, man, the Scott McLaurin token, that token sucks. I don't want that. I'm like, oh, shoot, Mintra, they've got their mint token up. I could stake my PLSX to earn the mint token. And then I could stake the mint token on the Mintra site. That's the token I want to earn. So maybe I'll stake in that pool. And then I look along and I'm like, oh my God, I could stake my PLSX in the liquid loans pool because they're letting me earn loan token, which I could then use on their platform. See what I'm saying? So hopefully that makes sense. I'll stop rambling on that. Is pre-bridge time critical, or does the timer start after? Very critical. Very critical. Because there's just no dollar values, right? We're not going to have that dollar value bridged over until the bridge opens, but there's still ratio trading. Right now, you technically ratio trade when you do a trade on PancakeSwap or you do a trade on Uniswap, right? You're still technically ratio trading, right? You're still swapping, I don't know, one Matic for $1, right? But you just see that it says $1 underneath. It says $1.03 for a Matic, and it's going to cost you $1.03 worth of USDC. But take away the $1.03, and you're still swapping, 1 for 1. So it's still a ratio trade. So yes, it's super important. I'm hopefully I'm answering what you're asking. But there's just no dollar values before the bridge opens, but they're still ratio trading, and they still have value, just not dollar values, but they're still value. The real question is, what are those values? We broke it down a half an hour ago trying to determine what those values really are. Also, what's your thoughts on PLSX? See, super high in permanent loss. You could really get hit bad. That, to me, that's a risky play. Because as you know, the native chain coin is the one that usually does the best, right? The DEX token doesn't do the best, right? It's the native token. I mean, the Uni token doesn't do as good as Ethereum, right? I mean, the bottom line, what I'm saying? The cake token doesn't do as good as BNB. Anyway, so is Pulsex going to do as good as Pulse? It could, because of this buy and burn and some of the features I've talked about, and again, you'll see in my video when you watch it after this. But if you get in and you could set the ratio, or the ratio is at 3 to 1, then I don't think you can get hurt too bad. Then you can get those fees. Your permanent loss will not be bad, and you probably won't get hurt. But if you get in too soon and you're putting in, I don't know, and you get in a bad time, I should say, and you're putting in, let me think about this the right way. You're putting in 1.5 PLSX for 1 Pulse, and then a week later the ratio is 4 to 1. That means your bag now has a whole bunch of PLSX and not a lot of Pulse. You understand a permanent loss. I know that. So it could be risky. I'm not doing it. I don't have any Pulse. I have a little bit of Pulse from the PLS IOU, but I'm not going to do it. I think it's too risky. To answer your question, I think, and I have a little list of some of the ones that I like. I don't know where it's at. For if I'm going to create a liquidity pair, I'm going to do it on safer things. I'm going to do it on, bridged over DAI and bridged over USDC. I'm going to do it on EHEX and PHEX. I'm going to do a pool. I would do a pool on copied hex and copied hedron. I would do a pool on copied Icosa and Icosa. I would do a pool on hedron and hedron. You see what I'm saying? I don't think you can get hurt as bad in some of those. Not financial advice, but I don't think you can get hurt as bad in some of those as you could if you do, say, a hex PLS one or a PLS PLSX one. You can get hurt bad, I think, just in my opinion. But I think doing a safer pool, like I said, if you want to just earn some fees without a whole lot of risk, then maybe do PLSX to hex. That one probably couldn't hurt you as bad. Hedron to Icosa, Hedron to hex. I don't know. I'll stop rambling on that. Let's see what we got here. Michael Laughlin, glad to have you in here, buddy. Icosa has given ridiculous gains on V4. Yeah, but keep in mind one thing. That's play money, right? So I'm not trying to discourage you, but it is play money, right? So people do things they normally wouldn't do with real money. But you're right. I see. The Texan token is like number 3 or whatever. Just stupid, just tokens that I don't know a lot about that might not be as good as others that are up there. And Icosa, though, that's a real token. I mean, I have a huge amount of Hedron stakes, and I earn Icosa, so I know. But keep in mind, bottom line is it's all play money. It's all pretend until the real thing. So don't be deceived when you see that hex is $5 on there or that PLS is at 8 cents or whatever. Don't fall for it. All right. Scott McLaurin back in. Last question. What is your estimate on when Pulsechain will launch? I think 3 weeks. That's a good guess. Could be. I personally, since there's 6 of you, I'll give you another quick tip here that I'm not going to share with a lot of people. Don't share this with anybody else. But I'm using, what's this thing called again? I'm using scan.io. It's basically a website tracker, and I've got it hooked up to Pulsex. And it's a website tracker that tells me when there's any changes to a website. And I've got it set for every half an hour, I think, or whatever. So anytime there's a change to the Pulsex website, it notifies me. So don't tell anybody. And there's 7 of you in here right now. Whoever's going to watch the stream's going to get that little nugget. So I'm going to get a notification as soon as that Pulsex site changes. As soon as there's a revision to it, I've got it set up for that. Anyway, tell me what you think of that idea. But that way, maybe I'm one of the first guys to know that the site has been altered. Maybe it's being changed. Maybe it's getting ready to go. It hasn't changed before the other day. It hadn't changed in a year or a long time or whatever. So that's a little tidbit. Maybe 3 weeks. I've waited so damn long. I've waited over a year and a half that 3 weeks now, I don't even feel the pain anymore. All I know is I got a crap ton of money tied up in a whole bunch of sacrifices, and it never seems to end. So I would take 3 weeks, though, happily. Crypto Rick agrees. I'm glad you do, because I'm rambling a little bit, but again, I'm just trying to get you guys to think, so you guys can see I'm playing devil's advocate on some of these things too, because I might not be right, but what if I may be right? What if playing devil's advocate, might get you to think and maybe take a second guess on what your plan would have been. That's all I'm trying to do is get you guys to think. All right. Exactly. Hopium. Hey, if it launches, great. I'm not sure how long you've been in the system, but I've been here a year and a half. I did a video with Crypto Rick maybe over a year and a half ago. That's how long we go back talking about this crap, right? So hopefully sooner rather than later, my man. That's all I could say. I heard from RH, his brother. He's aiming for 4th of July. Is that really his brother? I was sharing that it's not even really his brother. So who knows? But if it's really his brother and they want to do a 4th of July, great. That would be coming up soon, but who knows what's going to happen here. By then, Hex will be worth a penny again because people will be so pissed off that this thing dragged on. That beard can't take another year. Like I said, I used to play hockey. And if you follow hockey, at least the NHL out here in the state, well, in North America, a lot of Europeans play too out here. That when your team makes the playoffs, you don't shave until you make it to the end, and then hopefully you win it all, and then you could shave. But the whole idea is it's kind of a luck kind of thing. So I'm not shaving until Pulsechain launches. All right, my wife, hopefully she can live with this, but I'm not trying to torture you guys. All right, but anyway, yeah, exactly, Scott. Was that Rick? Was that really his brother? Like, do you even know if that was really his brother, or was that just a bunch of BS? I don't even know. Michael Laughlin, I'm right there. Yeah, aped into different. Yeah, see, so now me and Mike are both just stuck with these sacks that we've had forever. How long did you sack for liquid loans? I was day one. I sacked for Power City day one. you know. Pulsex, it might have been a couple weeks in. I didn't get the best rate. I didn't get the worst rate. I don't remember. And then all these other ones, the PulsePots, the FreePulse.io, the Mintras, Power City, all these ones. Yeah. So, but you can still DCA, like I said, because there's a chance there's going to be some dips. Because if people got bonus multipliers, for example, on Power City, they're giving out bonus multipliers if you sacked into other projects, and then you sack with them, you get a bonus multiplier. So maybe people do dump, and maybe you can take a shot at getting some earn token to then use in their earn protocol, which I'll probably do a video on once it launches. I'll do a video on that. You guys are going to be really interested to hear how you could take out a loan against your PLSX and get your PLSX to work for you if you're not using it in single-sided stakes. Pretty good stuff. Which stack are you most excited about outside of those? Yeah, I'm in those also with you. I'm excited about the PulsePot. It's the first decentralized casino that they're going to have on there. It's going to be fantastic. Great games. The freepulse.io is going to draw a lot of attention because people are going to go there for their faucet they're going to have. That Mintra is going to have a great NFT site. I'm not big into NFTs, but there's going to be a lot of activity. And when you stake your Mint token, you earn all the fees on the platform. I see you're on Power City. Power City is going to be the bomb. We're just seeing just a few of their features right now, but it's going to be fantastic. So I'm glad you're on board with some of those with me. I'm excited about all of them. I'm not excited about the fact that I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars tied up for over a year and a half now. I'll stop saying that. PLS. Who knows? Nobody knows what PLS is going to do. I can only hope it thrives, just like the native coin on all these chains thrives. Who knows if he's really his brother? He may be. You see, limit order is not even put in yet. Fork not done yet, but they want to test. Okay, well, if it's really his brother, great. I think even Scott told me he watched that video and was laughing about something. He said he wasted an hour of his life when he watched that brother's video or whatever it was. I was laughing. I didn't see it. He gave me a summary on it because we're buddies. But who knows? Maybe he's got some inside information. Maybe he doesn't. I've heard that because I chatted with that guy Jesse from Power City, and he's part of this group of people that chat in this private Richard Hart Telegram chat room that only has like 75 or 100 people in there. So to me, those would be the people that are in on the inside information. Because even RH was asking them for advice, ratios, things like that. Because a lot of people were pissed off that the initial ratio of PLS to PLSX is going to open at 1-to-1. But the reason why is, if you think about it, if you sacrificed $1 for 10,000 PLS, and some other guy sacrificed $1 for 10,000 PLSX, then they're worth the same, right? $1 got you 10,000 PLS, and the other sacrifice $1 got you 10,000 PLSX. They're both worth the same. They're both worth 1-to-1. That's RH's thinking. That's why it's launching at 1-to-1. It's not going to stay there for very long. But anyway, that's the thinking, and that's what they're telling me that's going on in these chat rooms, among other things. The private chat room that me and you don't get to jump into. Who knows? Okay, Mr. 369. Yeah, exactly. Liquid loans in Power City. Yeah, those are going to be. I'm going to do it, Scott. I'm going to do a video. Watch my prior video on liquid loans, but it's kind of rudimentary because it's not using the site, but it just explains how the platform works and how you can be a part of it, whether you have no interest in it now or you have the big interest in it. I show you how you can get involved. And Power City is going to be great because they're going to have that pixel park for NFTs, which might be used, like I said, by some of these communities that might come over to want to enjoy these cheap gas fees. They're going to have that Portal X swap that we've talked about. They're going to have that earn protocol where you could take out loans against your PLSX, and you can also provide funds if you want to be the bank and provide stablecoin to be lended out. You could do that, and I'm going to do a video and show you how that's safe and how you're protected and how you can't lose. I'll show you that too in a video, but it's going to be Power City is going to be awesome. I sacked for both Free Pulse. Yeah, I sacked for Free Pulse too, maybe a couple times. Remember, there was a couple different pools you could choose. Like, I forgot the names of those pools, Magic Carpet Ride, whatever they were called. I sacked for 2 or 3 of those too. So, I'm on board with you. I think a lot of people will go to that freepulse.io site. I think they've got, I forgot what the number was. They had over 200,000 or 300,000 visits, and that's for a test net, right? So you got to figure they're going to have a lot of traction, and people are going to play their games and donkey off their PLS and whatever in those games. Who knows? I'm not a big gambler, but maybe I'll play and mess around with them for fun. So who knows? Scott, an hour of my life will never get. That was back to the brother that you talked about. That stupid video that you mentioned to me about the alleged RH brother. Power City, no, it's not on V4 yet. Oh, wait, let me think. Hold on, let me look. I think I think it is on. I don't remember if it's on V4 or not. It might not be, but I was able to claim my watt tokens on the Power City. So I just don't remember. No, it was on V4. Yeah, Power City is on V4. You want to go to the what was that? Yeah, go to powercity.io, and then when you scroll down on the left, you'll go to something like called the Core CORE, or you'll go to something called I forgot what it was called. Yeah, you can go to the Portal X swap. It'll be on there and click it, and it should take you to the testnet v4, and make sure your MetaMask has the testnet uploaded to it, that chain. Because I already claimed my watt on there. I forgot how many I got. It might have been 35 million, because they're doing it $1 for 10,000 points. I forgot whether they changed the ratio, and I got 35 million watt. And keep in mind, who asked me that question? Yeah, Michael. Keep in mind, when you want to claim as fast as you can on Power City for your watt, because the way the function works, if you don't know, is when you do the claim, it's a claim/stake. It's one button. It does both. You claim/stake, and it immediately stakes your watt in the system, so that now you're earning your share of all the fees. The catch is that the later that you stake it, the less what they call amp. It's called an amp to me and you. The lower your bonus, the lower your yield of the system, your share of the system. The bottom line is sooner the better. So the bottom line is that, let's say people down the road a year from now buy the watt token just off the market and then stake it in that protocol. They're going to be getting a far worse amp rate percentage, share of the yield than I would if I'm a day one staker of my watt in the system. And when you do it, you're going to get an NFT that represents your receipt for those tokens that are staked in the system. But you could claim your yield anytime. There's no penalty for claiming that yield for Power City for that. If you got your watt token staked. Anyway, this is not a Power City video. You asked about it. McLaurin, does Power City have a tool that lets you automatically compound your rewards? You daily when you single side stake your Pulsex for bigger gains. Well, you're going to be doing a loan. If you're asking about the watt token, yeah, you could claim the rewards from your watt token, from the rewards generated if you have it staked, and then you can claim those rewards, and then you can add those to that NFT, that receipt. You can add those to your stake, okay? But they'll just be getting a different amp rate than the initial stake, because like I said, as time goes on, the amp rate gets worse. If you're talking about single-sided staking of your PLSX, that's a different thing that'll happen on the Pulsex side. It's called a Pulsex pool, and you'll just do that through the pulsex.com site, and then you'll choose which pool you want to stake it on. Hopefully I'm answering what you're asking. I'm not sure. I'm glad there's 11 of you in here. Hit that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. A lot of Pulsechain content coming out. Hey, as soon as this sucker launches. Is there any way of seeing what sacrifices me personally? Oh wait, is there a way of seeing what Yeah, go to hexpulse.info. Yeah, go to hexpulse.info, and on the top there's a couple. It says tokens, sacrifices, whatever. Click on sacrifices, and then scroll down, and you find, oh, PulsePot. There's PulsePot. Click on the PulsePot one, and then I think it lets you enter your address, and then it'll pull up what you sacrificed for. So I think that's what you're asking, Scott. That's why you check to see. So like PLSX, if you sack for Pulsex, you go to that website I just mentioned, then pull up Pulsex, the sacrifice, and you can look it up that way. Great info, brother. Thanks, Michael Laughlin. Glad you like it. Like I said, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Watch some of my prior videos, guys. At least scroll through them, because maybe I'm hitting on a topic that catches your attention. Maybe you weren't thinking about it. Maybe you scroll through and you think, oh, PLSIOU, what the heck is that? Maybe you scroll through, oh, Pulsex, the power of Pulsex. Man, let me hear what MJB has to say about that. The PLS Pulsechain tutorial. Boy, that might be good to watch, because maybe I could watch MJB walk me through the tutorial so I'm not confused when this thing really does launch. I'll know what the heck I'm doing. Anyway, scroll through some of my prior videos. Maybe something catches your attention and you guys find value. All right. Is your amp rate locked in at start? Yes, yeah, Michael. It's locked in, but more importantly, it's locked in at a better rate. The sooner, the better. So let's say Power City launches whenever, however many days after Pulsechain goes, and you're one of the first guys to claim / stake your watt token because you said you sacked. It automatically stakes it in the system, and you'll see if you go to the test net, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then you've got an awesome amp rate. You've got one of the best amp rates you can get, right? Because you're going to be NFT number 200 or whatever, right? But let's say some other character is out on vacation when Power City launches, and he doesn't get to it till a week later or 2 weeks later because he's on vacation or forgets about it or he didn't get the notification or whatever reason. And now he's claim / staking his watt tokens, or he's just buying them on the open market 2 weeks later. Either way, and then he does the claim stake, or he just stakes them, or a claim stake if he sacked. His amp rate is going to be worse than yours because now he's got NFT number 6,300, right? You've got NFT, whatever I said, NFT number 300 or whatever we said. He's got NFT number 6,300, right? And you're going to be able to sell your NFT on OpenSea, or better yet, actually, we say that on Pixel Park, the NFT marketplace on Power City. You'll be able to sell your NFT on there. What's going to dictate that value? Well, they're going to see that it's NFT number 300. And anybody looking to buy into Watt, they're going to want an NFT that's got a super kick-ass amp rate, right? So not only are your tokens worth whatever they're worth, let's say they open at 0.001. That's what they opened at on the test net. Don't quote me to that number, not financial advice. But let's say they open a test net at 0.001. Let's say they launch at 0.001. Your tokens are worth that. But if it's a year later and you still have that day one NFT, that's NFT number 275 or whatever, you have an amp rate earning a higher share of all the yield in the system than some other character who's got an NFT number 5,500. So if you're trying to sell it, that's your pitch. When you sell it on Pixel Park, you're not just selling an NFT that's got 35 million tokens in it. You're selling an NFT with 35 million tokens in it, that it's NFT number 305 with an amp rate of 70,000 or whatever the amp rate is. See what I'm saying? You get a higher share of all the yield from the system that the system generates. I'm hoping that makes sense. I'm trying to explain to you guys how freaking awesome Power City is going to be and that Watt token is going to be. Yeah, thanks, Scott. I appreciate you enjoying those prior videos. Thanks for leaving all your comments. I know you find value. And if there's ever anything you guys ever see in any of the prior videos, ask questions. I always respond to the comments. I like to engage with everybody. All topics are fire. I'm subscribing. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate it, my man. Glad to have you. Anytime you guys ever have questions, leave comments. Even leave comments down below in here, and I'll get back to them. Or send me a instant message on Telegram. I'll leave the link down below on here, how to reach me directly that way too. Thoughts on the opening PLS price on launch? On launch, before the bridge, it's going to be 1-to-1 with PLSX. Okay, so it's not a matter of price because again, there's no dollar value assigned. Okay, the real question is what will it fetch, right? Is one hex going to get you 50 PLS? One copied hex going to get you 50 PLS? I don't know. We talked earlier. If you're late, scroll back to about the first half an hour in. I talked about those ratios. After the bridge, though, see, after the bridge, that's when people can create their own liquidity pair in the pool, and then they get to set the price. And that goes back to what I spoke about maybe 45 minutes ago. These people have sat on it for over 2 years. They're not going to let it go for cheap. I wouldn't let it go for cheap. Would I let it go for 10x and be happy if I have PLS? Probably not. Not after waiting 2 years on my money being tied up. So to answer your question, what do I think it's going to be? I'm not going to be surprised if the first pools are set at 15-to-1. That would be 0.0015, right? Maybe 0.002. That'd be 20 times their cost. So I wouldn't be surprised if the first pools after launch, when the first pools are set, is there. One other quick thing, and I know we've been going for about an hour and a half. One other quick thing, since she asked me, because it's a good question, I want to try to stimulate you to get you to think. Who holds $600 million of DAI? Richard Hart, because that was the biggest stable coin that was used to sack for PLSX and PLS, right? So if he holds whatever that number is, I forgot what the number. It's a huge number. It's like $600 million of DAI or whatever, some hideous number. What if he uses that die that he's been holding for 2 years and he pairs it with PLS on Pulsechain? He's going to set the opening price. Then Scott McLaurin's going to be going, F yeah, because if he sets the price a little bit higher than sacrifice price, maybe he sets it at 0.00015 or something. Like at some low price. It's only 5x above sacrifice. Who knows? Then all the Scott McLaurins out there are going to be super happy because RH set the first pair. He used all that die that he had sitting in his wallet for 2 years, the 600 million, that 600 million, and he pairs it to the PLS and he creates his own first pool. I'll be happy. So that's why it's good to have DAI or USDC on hand to bridge over once the bridge opens. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's going to happen. This is not financial advice to anybody out there. I'm just giving you guys what ifs. That's a big possibility, right? Just a possibility. I think it could happen. What's he going to do with all that money? He has all that SAC money that he brought in. He's got to use it. I mean, he has to use it. Will be interesting to see what Richard comes up with exactly to counter offer. Yeah, I mean the whole Zen thing is a whole other story. I'm a Hexakin and Pulsechain through and through. Well, there's nothing there. So, so I'm not big in the Hex. In the Zen ecosystem, don't know a lot about it. I'm already fully extended in this. But bottom line is, you're right. It's competition. I will give you that. It's right. It's competition, and that's why Pulsechain launching sooner rather than later will be a good thing. I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I appreciate all of you that have jumped in and out throughout the stream. For those that are watching the replay of this, I'm glad that you guys climbed aboard. Again, please like and subscribe. I'll be covering and hit that notification bell so you get hit with all my content. I'll be doing all kinds of Pulsechain projects that come out. I'll be doing tutorials. Again, reach out to me anytime in the comments down here or through Telegram. Thanks all you guys for coming in, my loyal followers. I've got over 420 subscribers now on YouTube, so I'm excited about that. I'm really excited. Thanks, Scott, for all your questions too. I'll be doing more of these. Hey, maybe I'll do one when Pulsechain launches, right? And we could talk about what's going on at the time during ratio trading, what we're all doing or not doing, or we could talk about these ratios in real time. Wouldn't that be exciting? I don't know. I'm here to help you guys. You know that. I'm here to help. I'm here to bounce ideas off each other. So I'm glad you guys tuned in. Till the next time, be safe.